Hello and welcome to your tarot forecast for the new moon in Aries 2022. So today we are going to dive into our usual suspects, which include 4 oracle cards for the general public, as well as an extended reading for my Patreon members. So if this is your first time on this channel, know that what you're about to see on YouTube or Instagram is definitely going to give you an idea of what this Aries new moon has in store for you. But if that reading really resonates for you, that's a pretty good sign that the extended reading is really going to hit home. So that's how you can kind of gauge, is this a month that I want to be a Patreon member or not? If this reading sounds like it's talking about your life, you probably want to go a little bit deeper, and that's available over at patreon.com/Michelle Shea. So we're going to dive in first with the deck of my creation, known as the Total Betty Goddess deck. And this is a deck of 90s icons playing the goddesses. So if you are a 90s nostalgia file, definitely a deck for you. You can purchase that over at michelleshaywalker.com. And there may be a sale going on soon because I am moving and I might be getting rid of some of my stock. So just know that you can look out for that. We are going to dive in by finding out what goddess is here to serve us best for this Aries new moon. What kind of energy can we expect? What kind of assistance do we need? So our Total Betty Goddess is Vesta, played by Liv Tyler in Empire Records. So this card is a complex meaning in the Total Betty Goddess deck. It's definitely one that is about duality. It's about being able to embrace both sensuality and innocence at the same time. In the movie Empire Records, Liv Tyler's character is virgin, but she wants to seduce Rex Manning, and that is what is depicted in this particular scene on the card. You can be sensual and pure at the same time. You can also have the right to be sensual and not want to have sex. That is a great aspect of this Vesta card, and that you are in charge of your own sexuality, you are in charge of how you use that sexuality, and to what extent you define purity and sexuality. So with that in mind, that's a very interesting energy to dive into this fire sign new moon. So we're going to dive in with some additional cards from the Fuzzy Prism Oracle, and we will draw 3 cards for the past, present, and future energy of this new moon. So the energy that we're coming from, directly into the new moon, the energy of the new moon, and the energy we can expect directly following it. So we're going to see what kind of emotions this deck is going to bring up for us, and then we'll dive in to the tarot cards. Okay, so our past card is Risk. Present card is Perspective. And the future card is Ask. So right off the bat, I love the Risk card. I think that coming from Risk into Perspective in light of this Vesta energy of purity and sensuality and being able to be multiple things at once and being able to own how far you take something in your life, the Risk card is definitely something that makes sense. So in the recent past, we have taken a little bit of a risk. Maybe you have decided to quit your job, maybe you've decided to change locations, maybe you have decided to exit a relationship that you found wasn't good for you anymore, but there was something that has recently occurred, or at least recently been decided upon in your mind. Whether you've acted upon it or not is still to be determined for some people. That was a bit of a risk, and that's a great energy to have in Aries season, because Aries is the initial sign of the zodiac year. So if you're gonna take a risk, if you're gonna have a fresh start, it's kind of like starting those resolutions at the beginning of our calendar year in January. You really want to dive into like fresh territory during Aries season. And because Aries is a fire sign and they are very sort of known to be sometimes impulsive, risk is a great thing to be diving into during Aries season. It fits for where we're at. So you're not kind of working against the zodiac by taking that risk. And then because of that, we are coming into this new moon energy of Perspective. So I'm thinking that this Risk card is almost kind of like the Tower card in tarot, in that it kind of shook things up. And it might have burned a couple bridges, it might have just kind of rattled some cages. It definitely feels like this decision, whether or not you actually told it to the world or if you just kept it internally, rocked your world a little bit. And that's what the Tower card is about as well. It's about like kind of tearing things down to a foundation. And now in this new moon, you're being invited to take perspective on that shift. So it might have been something that kind of has been coming at you really fast, and you're kind of making these decisions and you're making these moves in all different directions that you didn't think that you'd be making. And this Aries new moon gives us a little brief reprieve to get perspective on the situation. So I really encourage you to maybe try some sort of meditation practice under this Aries new moon, or at the very least do some journaling, some free writing, some contemplation on this transition and where you were and where you're going and what that has changed in your life. So take time to take stock underneath this Aries new moon. And then in the future, directly following this new moon, we have Ask. And I get two things from this Ask card. Traditionally, I get asking spirit, asking your guides, asking the universe what it is that you need to do. So meditation is a great way to do that. But I also get a beautiful phrase that I learned from my friend Gabriella Rosie, who she accredits to her mom, which is, if you don't ask, you don't get. And that is kind of also really good Aries energy, in that it is definitely about the self. It's about recognizing your own needs and asking for them. So as you are coming from this place of having this risky realization or transition and creating some perspective around it, then you can come into the next stage of this process with the confidence to ask for what you want and what you need. Because it feels like this risk was kind of a little unsupportive as of yet. It's basically been kind of going on within your head. Maybe a few people know about it. You've been letting the information trickle out a little bit, little by little, but you haven't really integrated it into your entire life. And so the asking is going to be where that's coming in. So as you become more aware of your perspective on the situation and the transitions that you're making, that's going to get you really clear on what it is that you're asking for. And usually if we're asking for something, the universe is there to support us. So whether you're asking for the people around you to support you in this way, or if you're asking the universe, your spirit guides, whatever you believe in to support you, that's going to be really, really vital. So again, this is twofold. It's one, ask for direction in your meditation, but also don't be afraid to ask for what you want, because if you don't ask, you don't get. So that is our little preview of what's coming up in the rest of the cards. So I'm gonna go ahead and tap in just a little bit to kind of give a bit of more information, because that was a very succinct reading right there. I'm definitely getting transitions, and again, there's risk around. If we pull Vesta into the mix, we're also talking about that balance between extremes. So I'm willing to guess that, I really feel like it's going to be for anyone that's making a transition. That risk card's really standing out to me. I was going to try and pinpoint it as to whether or not it's career, relationship, location, whatever, but this feels like it's going to apply to all of them. So if you're taking a big risk in your life right now that you already kind of are pretty sure you're going to go ahead and take, and you're just ready to get a little perspective on it, we're gonna pull multiple tarot cards over on the Patreon to figure out what that perspective is and how to move forward from here. So if you want to join, it is the monthly mystic level over on the Patreon. This is the middle level. There are 3 tiers. Monthly mystics are only $11 a month, so you're basically paying for a free personal reading from me for only $11, which is unheard of. And you also get access to the weekly pick-a-card readings and the monthly tarot scopes that happen over there, and you get access to the free full moon live event. So if you choose to continue your membership into the next month, or if you are already watching this in the beginning of the month of April, then you definitely will be able to take advantage of that as well in your membership. So it's live full moon readings that I do just with that Patreon group, and I get to answer whatever questions you want. And that is what we're going to be doing over there on the Patreon for the rest of this reading, is diving into what kind of perspective we need on this risk. And if you are watching over on the Patreon, the rest of your reading starts right now.